So, do you know the power of purpose and also of social impact? Well, guess what? You're in the right place today here on episode 748 of the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, where we're going to talk about the power of purpose and why every entrepreneur needs a social impact strategy. We're super excited to have our guest here in the virtual studio, Nisha Glenn, with us, founder of Educated Girls Rock. And guess what? We're going to get into it right after this quick intro. Don't you move. You're here live on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Let's go.
Whoa. Why y'all so happy?
You don't know? Sharvette Mitchell is on the radio.
It's time to get motivated, excited, and influenced. Why? It's the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, live from Richmond, Virginia. And now, here to motivate, excite, and influence you, Sharvette Mitchell.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, broadcasting live from the capital city of Richmond, Virginia, but heard and seen all across the World Wide Web. Hello to those that are joining us from multiple places on Facebook. We say hello, welcome as always. You are live streaming with us. Hello to those that are checking us out on LinkedIn, live or later. We're glad to have you. Certainly our YouTube crowd with us. Hello, Roberto, coming on in from New York. Thank you so much for being with us as well. I see Lisa Shaw coming on in from Florida. We're glad to have you. Schedule change, able to tune in tonight. We are glad to have you. Absolutely. Those over on Instagram, we are excited to see you. Thank you so much for being here and checking us out and hanging out with us over on Instagram. And then certainly those that check us out in our podcast, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and new to the list, Spreaker. So we're excited for all of you, whether you are live or listening later. And you know, the goal of this show is to motivate, excite, and influence. And we're certainly going to do just that today. Shout out to my mom. Hey, girl. Hey, thank you for being in the audience. Listen, all the time, always. We are always glad to have all of you here. And so let me introduce our guest who is in the virtual studio, ready, waiting to come on up. Go ahead, and if you're live with us, share this broadcast out, because again, the topic for today in episode 748 is the power of purpose, why every entrepreneur needs a social impact strategy. Yeah, we're going to tell you all about what you might be saying. What is that? Oh, we're going to get you straight today. Don't worry. And so let me go ahead and introduce my guest so I can bring her on up to the virtual stage here. And so we have Nisha Glenn is with us. And certainly Nisha Glenn's story is one of defying the odds and breaking barriers. Born into a family where no one completed high school, she overcame the challenges of teen motherhood, earning both a bachelor's and a master's in education. In 2012, she founded Educated Girls Rock. EGR is the abbreviation there, which is a nonprofit dedicated to empowering young girls through education. And certainly Nisha's journey of resilience and triumph inspires others to rise above adversity and rewrite their own stories, proving that with determination, everything is possible. We see you coming on in. Continue to come on in as you put your hands together. And we welcome our guests up to the stage here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Welcome, Nisha Glenn. Hey, girl. Hey, how are you?
Hey, girl. Hey, I love that. Thank you so much for having me today.
Listen, the crowd is cheering and celebrating. Taking all the love, right? Taking all the love. So I love it. Yes. So let's jump right on in. Again, welcome to all those here. We're glad to see you on. Yes, we see you, Dr. Shakira over on and Dr. LaFera over on Instagram. Thank you so much for being here. And so let's jump right on in. And so tell us how really your journey began. I read a little bit in the bio. Certainly there's more details, but for you, where do you feel like things began for you?
For me, where things actually begin with this journey, it was back in 2012 when I got laid off from Verizon Wireless. funny thing, when I got laid off from Verizon Wireless, that was all I knew. So it was
Wow.
my first real job. And so they gave me a severance. I don't know, have anybody ever had a severance
Yes,
before?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
The funny thing is, when I got laid off, they gave me a severance
Mhm.
to take. And what happened, this was back in 2008 when I got the severance. I just want to kind of
Okay.
give that little context.
Yeah.
So just imagine you get laid off, you get a severance. And at that time, I had been with the company for 10 years. So
Wow.
I'm in my early, almost 30s, I'm like, oh, I'll get all this money, I'm good. Well, I applied for a position in Atlanta, Georgia. And when I
Wow.
applied for the position, I got the position. And they was like, oh, since you got the position, you can't keep the severance.
Wait a minute. Run that back.
I said, what? Well, if you got the position, you
Uh-huh.
cannot keep the severance. So
Wow.
that's why I'm really big on decision making,
Yeah.
because it was a decision. I'm like,
Mm.
and it was nice, So I thought about, I had two small children at the time.
Yeah.
I had just bought my first home at the time, and I'm like, do I up and just leave, or do I stay? So that was the decision
Mhm.
I made. So I end up giving the money back.
Wow.
Working at Verizon Wireless. And do you know, 3 years later, I get laid off again. The
Mm.
decision was easier. And the decision was easier because I'm like, I was comfortable. I wanted something different. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's time for me to step out on my entrepreneurship journey and start accomplishing goals and dreams and things I've always wanted to do. So, if you're at a company and you're just working, it's familiar. So there
Yeah.
was nothing uncomfortable about that situation. So I decided I wanted to take that severance and leave. And at the time, how Educated Girls Rock got birthed,
Uh-huh.
I was in school to get my master's degree right before being laid off. And I was in school to get my master's degree in education. And it's a little twofold of why I decided to go back to school and get my master's in education. Well, one, it was because my son was experiencing a lot of different things in school. He had ADHD.
Okay.
Put him on what we call a IEP. So for all of my listeners out there, if you don't know what an IEP is, I didn't know what an IEP was at the time, and I felt I didn't have a voice. So I let
Mm.
the principals, the counselors, the teachers, and everybody just do whatever they wanted to do with my son because I didn't know anything. And
Yeah.
I always would go to these meetings feeling intimidated, just sitting, just no voice, no nothing, do whatever it is. And I'm like, I'm tired of feeling this way. So
Yeah.
that was one of the main reasons why I went back to school to get my master's in education. And then right prior to getting laid off, I'm like, you know what? I want to start helping young girls because this is like feeling good to me, just being able to educate myself on certain things because Educated Girls Rock too.
Yes, absolutely.
Educated Girls Rock was birthed too far, and of course, I didn't know anything. I just stepped out. So yeah, that's how the journey started with Educated
Wow.
Girls.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for giving that behind the scenes. And I know that there are people in the audience who can relate. Listen, Lisa Shaw is like, what, whoa, about the severance. Like, wait a minute. Definitely.
Yes.
And so that's the birth of that. And so with Educated Girls Rock, how would you say the organization has evolved really since 2012?
So when what I love about life is the unknown and it's the unexpectancy of life and the journey that we're on. I didn't know anything. I just knew what I wanted to do. I had no background in nonprofit. I had no background in getting money for the nonprofit. I had no background in even just working with the young girls in any capacity. I just knew that this is something that I wanted to do.
Mm.
So that's why it's a big difference between launching Educated Girls Rock and founding Educated Girls Rock. I founded Educated Girls Rock in 2012, not knowing nothing. But when I
Right.
realized, okay, this is what I want to do, this is how I can do it, I was able to, do partnerships and go and work with young girls. I'm like, okay, I think I'm official now. Let me launch it, which I actually launched in 2014 because I had some
Wow.
confidence there. Like this is
Yeah.
real. So,
Like this is the right way.
this is it. So over this year makes 10 years that I launched Educated Girls Rock. And I know we're going to get into this, but I have to say it before I lose my train of thought. Over the last 10 years, I've been operating Educated Girls Rock from a labor of love.
Mm-hmm.
Just doing it because this is something that I love to do. Never even really looked at it as a business. So I know we're going to get to that because I'm like, okay, now these next 10 years, I want to make sure it's a business. I want to operate like a business, and I want to make a bigger impact.
Wow, wonderful. Well said, well said. And so, so when we talk about social impact, which I love this conversation, and actually those that attended my 8th annual Platform Builder Summit just this past weekend or weekend before, shout out, we had an amazing speaker, Dr. Chantel Chambliss, nonprofits specialist, consultant, and definitely kind of opened our eyes and certainly opened entrepreneurs' eyes around kind of starting this conversation around social impact. And so with today's show being the power of purpose and why every entrepreneur needs a social impact strategy, first, how do you define social impact?
When you sent this information, I was like, I'm not going to say I was confused, but it enlightened me. So thank you, because I learned something. When I think about social impact, I feel like I'm a social person. I love making an impact, not only to young girls, but to my family, to my friends, to kids, to anyone that I come in contact with. But then that can be very broad. So I'm like, I want to narrow it down and pick something that is more meaningful to me, and I'm able to make a social impact in the young girls that I actually work with. And the reason I say that, actually picking something that I feel that can actually make an impact with them and kind of help them and be a guide along the side, because that's something that I actually struggled with as I was a girl growing up in, in an environment that education was not important.
Right.
I wish I had social impact opportunities when I was growing up. So I just think it's about just finding something where you can just impact someone's life. That's how I look at it, in any level.
Yeah. And so,
yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, Dana Wilson, thank you so much for being here. And so, so that's very simply put. And so then now, if we think about entrepreneurs specifically today, why is it important that those that own businesses, small, big, large, have a social impact strategy?
Ooh. So when I think about the big businesses, the small businesses, and just business period, and I have to give this analogy. We're going to just use Microsoft as an example.
Yeah.
And when you really think about most businesses, especially big businesses, audience, do your research. Every big business has a social impact. I think it's 2 reasons, maybe 3. The main reasons is because they want to make some type of impact or help someone in their life.
Yeah.
2, especially if you're adding the 501c3 next to it, it's a big tax write-off. So now, I mean, when you think about the big businesses, I think it's twofold. I think it's definitely they want to help, and make an impact, socially to an organization or have their own foundation, but also you get a lot of different, tax brackets. So I think it's important that every entrepreneur have some type of social impact, and don't get it confused, because I'm going to use an example because it was a little confusing to me. It's like, okay, how do you have a business? And then how do you also have something with social impact? And I'm going to use me as an example. I worked in corporate America. I did technical support. I did cybersecurity. But when I thought about that, I wasn't fulfilled. That didn't give me joy. I didn't feel like I was making an impact. So that's where I get my fulfillment and my joy from, by having that social impact with Educated Girls Rock. So now I am pivoting a lot. And so my things are overlapping, and I'm doing a lot of different things, because right now it's like the business is complete. a social impact. But
Yeah.
I think all businesses should definitely have one. It definitely gives you that fulfillment.
Awesome. Well said. And also, I think what maybe another question that's on some people's minds, and for entrepreneurs in particular, who may be solopreneurs or have small teams, how do they think about aligning their personal purpose with their business goals, really to kind of have that social change? Is it looking at, hey, I really want to help girls and young girls. Let me find organizations that align with that. Any help in that area?
I think that when we talk about, purpose and our goals, I feel that it's so many different things that you can do to make a social impact. And I think really keying down on what you enjoy and where you really, really want to make a meaningful impact. It can be something as simple as going to walk dogs. It can be something as simple as you picking up your phone, making calls to a nursing home, talking to, someone that can speak and just making them feel good and different things like that. So I think it's just finding what actually brings you joy and then thinking about something that you probably was missing when you were actually growing up, or you thinking about something that's actually missing in the world today. I mean, you got homelessness, you got mental health, you got pets, you got kids, you have the elderly. So it's so many different things that people can do to make a social impact, but you want to make sure it's something that is dear to your heart, and you are not only are you getting fulfilled, but they're able to get fulfilled as well. So
all right, good.
It worked in my favor that, was able to go into a social impact and with Educated Girls Rock. But guess what? You don't just have to have one, because even though, my social impact is with Educated Girls Rock, I still go feed the homeless. I still go, help with breast cancer. So there's a lot of different ways that you can make an impact socially.
All right. And I love the two key points is that aside from and in addition to your business, definitely look at the areas where you was lacking something maybe as you were growing up or what have you. And then two, to get that personal, that personal fulfillment. And then 3, depending on what kind of structure you have, there are, and you're giving or supporting a nonprofit 501c3, then there are also some tax benefits. Talk to your tax accountant for all of that.
It can be a little confusing, but that's why you have experts in those areas. So
and going into 2025, do you feel there's going to be more of a need for small businesses to align with some type of social impact project, program, strategy?
Girl,
like you can't even get it out fast enough. She's like, yes.
I did not talk about the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen with this country. We don't know what the next 4 years look like. We don't know what the next 8 or 10 years like. We don't know what the next 20 years look like. So I think that right now is a lot of opportunities to make a social impact from all different facets of life, from even something as small as credit. Like people are needing these, or providing like mental health services, or empowerment, motivation, and inspiration. Like we need all of that. That's a social impact, making something meaningful in someone's life. And people don't understand encouragement goes a long way. So I definitely see this next season, this next decade, this next century, everyone is going to need a social impact, because like I said, it makes you feel good. Just being able to provide a service and help someone, it really makes you feel real good.
Wonderful. And so you need a social media strategy, right? You need your business strategy, but then also this social impact strategy. I'm really loving this conversation for us to have entrepreneurs think about it. Hey, we see you all chiming on in and coming on in. You're checking us out here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Welcome again to those that are over on Instagram. Yes, we are Facebook Live on Instagram. Some of you that watch the show, you see a few little new things we got going on here. So we are glad. We're glad to have you. And definitely Susan Speaks, I believe I have that right. Yes, social impact with a return on investment, with an ROI. That's good. That's good. And Lisa Shaw is saying, yes, encouragement is important. Hey, Lady Di, we're glad you chimed on in there. So definitely want to hear a little bit more about Educated Girls Rock, and, you know, how you use education to empower young women.
So, you know, like I said, I've been operating Educated Girls Rock from a labor of love. Like I said, I just go out there and just do it. And like I say, education in my household was really not important. So being able to just inspire these girls to continue on their journey. That's why my target has always been young girls, mainly in high school. And I've incorporated the graduation hat in my logo, because I felt there was a sense of accomplishment. There was a sense of I earned it. That is something, your education is something that no one can ever take from you. So that's why I just love empowering our girls to stay in school. I've been able to facilitate college tours where I'm taking girls on college tours, something that I wasn't able to do.
Yeah.
I didn't even know, you know what, and I'm going to say this, growing up in my household, I didn't even think that I could even go to college. Like that wasn't even like an option.
Wasn't even
so
a thing.
No, like nobody talked about it. I thought you had to have all this money. And I just never knew that where I grew up and my socioeconomic status at the time, it wasn't even possible for me to even go to college. And, you know, I'm not saying it's a regret, because I trust God and I believe his path for me is the way it's supposed to be. But I tell everybody to experience I wish I would have been able to experience college and go live on campus and make, you know, meaningful connections and meet people and different things like that to get that particular sense of independency. So back to Educated Girls Rock. I've been able to, you know, give away scholarships. I do an annual event where I celebrate student success and give away scholarships. Other things I do a lot of different empowerment workshops. I'll go out to schools and organizations and do empowerment workshops. And my baby that I'm really working on, that I'm really wanting to implement in schools right now, is my Fight to Focus program, where we talk about owning our own journey, the importance of academics while being a student in school and outside of school, and this thing called adversities, being resilient and overcoming challenges. So those are 3 things that I focus on and have a program designed around that to kind of help the girls with navigating through their educational journey, and then giving them life skills that they can kind of take once they graduate high school. Because you can speak to this, adversity is something we face, if not every day, every other day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to have something in your wheelhouse to help you with that. And so I know there are people saying, where is she located? Like, where is it? Do you serve virtually? Do they have to be where you are? Tell us a little bit about that.
So right now, I am currently in Atlanta, Georgia. That's the big city. I'm in the outskirts of suburbs called Lawrenceville, Georgia. I'm in the Gwinnett County School District. But one of my goals is to start doing, because I have a lot of people reach out and say, hey, how can my daughter join? Or what do you have going on? And that's something, like I said, this is going to become a business now. So I'm putting, you know, different things in place where I want to start doing maybe a monthly workshop where a lot of people that are across the country or in other areas will be able to be a part of Educated Girls Rock movement.
Wow. So you're going to transition from a nonprofit to a business. So that'll be an interesting.
So what I did was I'm definitely going to keep my nonprofit sector, which is my community involved, my social impact. But then I also started a for-profit business as well, which is still Educated Girls, where I'm still able to provide services and also an apparel and a product line, creating product line with Educated Girl as well. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. How can they follow you on all of the places?
I am everywhere. And you know what? It's so funny, because when we first started, I was like, I'm trying to get like a community on TikTok. So I was on TikTok and I wanted to go live. Then I got nervous. But currently I am on all social media platforms. I am on TikTok, Educated Girls Rock. I am on Instagram, Educated Girls Rock, Facebook, YouTube, and what's the other one? I don't really be on X, Twitter. But, you know, listen, I love saying you can Google me.
Right, there you go. Just go to Google. And if you're watching or listening from Sharvette.com, we have a great blog post for Nisha Glenn. And so we have a blog post there. So, and look down below in the show notes. If you're on YouTube, look down below in the show notes. Certainly all of that is there. Well, wow. So this time flew by. And so
we're done. I don't want to leave.
Almost, girl, almost. I honor your time. So the goal of this show is to motivate, excite, and influence. And we want to know what continues to motivate Nisha Glenn.
You know what continue, and I want to give this gem because my pastor gave me this gem at the beginning of the year that has been embedded into my heart, my soul, everything. The highest form of compensation is freedom and fulfillment. And that's what motivates me. That's what continues to motivate me. Being able to be fulfilled in things that I'm doing, and then being able to be free in those things, which I'm still working on. The freedom part is coming, but I am fulfilled. So that's what continues to motivate me, being able to impact lives, whether it's on a smaller level or a bigger level, and continue making an impact.
Oh, right.
With everyone.
With everyone. And question coming in from Roberto, do you help middle school girls?
Actually, I found that my target has always been high school, but now I've incorporated 7th and 8th graders because we're trying to catch them before they go to high school and they actually need it. So yes, to answer your question, we're targeting the 7th and 8th graders as well.
All right. And Lisa Shaw saying, I pray blessings and favor over all you're doing to educate precious girls. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Again, here, episode 748. Thank you for just, putting and reiterating in our listeners' ears that own small businesses and are entrepreneurs, that you also want to have a social impact strategy alongside your video strategy, your cash flow strategy, your social media strategy, your marketing strategy. You also want to have a social impact strategy, and find something where you have passion, or even if it's just to make an impact in your community. So we are big about that. So thank you so much for stopping by. And how can people donate or to the nonprofit part?
So and that's one of the things we struggle with. These initiatives and programs cannot be ran without funding. So I would love to support. People can go to my website, educatedgirlsrock.org, and donate. We're also on, of course, Cash App and Vimo and Zelle, Educated Girls Rock as well. So definitely just go to the website. And Giving Tuesday is on December 3rd. So I'm going to be blasting that out as well.
Give It Tuesday. I love it. I love it. And Educated Girls Rock on Instagram. Those that are hanging out over on Instagram, I have tagged. They are also tagged on Facebook and all the things. And so, wow, awesome coming in. Yes. Thank you so much for stopping by the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. We will continue to wish you much more continued success. Yes.
Let me give you your flowers. Congratulations to you. Today is Tuesday. I don't even say Tuesday anymore. I say Happy Tuesday, and I want everyone to choose themselves. So kudos to you. I'm loving everything that you do, and thank you so much, so much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. And we'll keep our eye on you and wish you just much more continued success. Thank you for stopping by. All right. I am telling you, this time flew by. We are almost out of your hair here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. I do want to say this segment is brought to you by, let me make sure you can just see all this here. This segment is brought to you by my 3-day, I have a 3-day webinar series that's happening this Wednesday, this Thursday, this Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. So if you're watching on Instagram, click the link in the bio. If you are on Facebook, the post is pinned on our page. We're also running ads, so you might see the ad. So join me over on Zoom. I'm going to help you with your marketing. This is great if you are, in particular, a professional service provider. So you provide professional services. You are service-based. You might even be nonprofit or ministry-based, but I'm going to spend some time with you these next 3 days before the holiday. Listen, we still got time here in the last quarter of the year, and I invite you. So I'm going to be talking on Wednesday about 2025 marketing trends and kind of like where we are right now and what the trends are going to be and what consumers are looking for this coming in 2025 and what they're looking for from you. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be talking about, is your fear of the spotlight keeping your business invisible? Ooh, that might be an ouch, or that might be an amen. You just let me know. And then Friday, we'll wrap up talking about the missing elements and missing pieces of visibility, positioning, and authority in your business. So completely complimentary Zoom. The link again is posted in our social media bios there, or if you wherever you're hanging out and you're like, I don't see it, inbox us, send us a message. We'll make sure you have the Zoom link, again, completely free. And that is that. We thank you for those that have already signed up. We look forward to seeing you. All right. It is a wrap here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Thank you so much for being in the audience and being with us. And we'll see you all later. Again, Nisha Glenn, you can check her episode and information out over on Sharvette.com and support and find a social impact program, project, or service that you can get behind that fuels you and gives you some of the other benefits. All right, we'll see you later. Bye.
Live from Richmond, Virginia, you've been listening to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Catch Sharvette Mitchell every Tuesday at 6 p.m., interviewing all the stars you want to hear from. So until next week, stay motivated, excited, and influenced. This is the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show.